probably pretty obvious to anybody that's watched any of my videos, but I'm not a very high budget guy. So that's why I like to take something like this flat piece of aluminum that I got for cheap and bend it up and make it into a nice bracket like that's going to be. If what I'm doing and what I'm building might interest you, stick around. Now what I did is I just clamped that in the vise and bent it over and pounded it flat with a hammer. You can see it marks it up a little bit, but it should be nothing that I can't polish out of there. And then what I'm going to do is, because this is the actual piece, I always try and use the actual piece when possible, not necessarily just take measurements, because if you're like me, you can screw up a measurement no problem. So I just mark that, fix my mark with a square, just to make sure everything's as square as it can be. And we'll go back to the vise. Now this time it's a little bit more of a pain because of the small jaws of this vise, I can't put it in like this. It, like my 90 screws me up and it won't allow me to bring it up all the way to where it needs to be to make the bend. So unfortunately, I've got to put it in like this. Again, checking to make sure everything's as square as can be with the jaws of the vise. Once you get this started, then I can finish it off. And the big thing that I've learned is, if you can, try and like true this stuff up as you go as much as possible, rather than doing all your bends. Like, see, I was getting a little bit of a bend in there. And yeah, if you can just sort of hand perfect this stuff as you go, then chances are, rather than having to screw around with it all at the end. See this here, like lengthways, it's not quite perfect, so my crooked eyeball says it's good there. Now one more time, put these pieces in here. These are just fuse holders. So I'll show you when I'm done what exactly I've built here. But I've got the little mark. In my mess, I'll rummage around and find my nice little square. We'll make another bend here. Now, my opinion on all of this, try and get everything as close to the right dimension as possible. But if you're better off to be big than small, because small is never going to fit. But big, what I've found, like say if I was a hair big with this, I could wrap one wrap of electrical tape around here, slide it in here, and nobody's ever going to know the difference. And then that electrical tape is soft enough that it'll take up any slop or what not that might be there. Now the nice thing about working with aluminum is, well, it's just super easy to work with. It's light, and that's nice. It's a little more expensive than if you have to buy some steel. Fortunately, well, I just had this thing laying around from another project that I bought it for and just ended up didn't use it for, or bought extra or whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, aluminum is really nice to work with, and just give me a minute and I'll show you what I ended up making out of this little gem. So this is what I end up with. It started out with just a bunch of flat 1-inch aluminum and just a little bit of time and pissing around, and you can see I actually stacked a couple up at the back to make sure that these little fuse holders could open. This is all just cheap stuff, but what it does is it just makes it a little cleaner, a little better looking, and just a little more neat and organized. Big thing for me is when I first did the underhood wiring in my car, I just stuffed stuff in there to make it work. And now I really got to go back in there and redo all that. So I don't know, I guess a big thing is if you have time when you're working on your car, just do it right the first time, and it'll save you so much hassle down the road. So that's it. It's just screwed to the wall. I'm just doing up some wiring and stuff like that before I put it in the truck. Anything that I can pre-wire, like the hots to the fuses and the grounds and whatnot, I'm going to do out here rather than stuck underneath the hood of the truck. Anyway, something like this, without too much work, you could easily basically make it show quality. Another one of the nice things about aluminum is it polishes up to just like a mirror if you want it to. I'm not going to do that with this one because it's certainly not a show truck. But anyway, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Thanks for watching.